breath. Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Habayim. We're continuing Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. Today we begin a brand new subject. The subject is Dinei Anias HaKaddish Aidei HaKahal. Answering Kaddish through the Kahal. The Kahal answering Kaddish. Are you excited? Raise your hand if you're excited. Okay, thank you. Very good. Says the Mechaber, Yesh l'chavein ba'anias HaKaddish. You should be mechavein when you answer Kaddish. Haga. Says Rama, V'la yafsik bein yehei shmei rabba limavarach. Do not interrupt between yehei shmei rabba and mevarach. Now this is a very interesting halacha. Yesh l'chavein ba'anias HaKaddish. And I wanted to make something out of it, but I don't think it's correct, because you see, the Mechaber wrote the words Yesh l'chavein ba'anias HaKaddish v'la'anois oisoi b'kol ram u'lehishtado lorotz kedei l'shmei HaKaddish. The Mechaber says three things. Actually, each one stands independently. You know, the fact that the Rama interrupts with the Haga, you know, gives us highlights, really, the first din that the Mechaber says. You know, had it not been for the Rama, by the way, I did hear historically, you know, the Rama, when he wrote his commentary, he didn't put his words in the words of the Mechaber. He wrote it on the side, like the Shach and the Taz. You know, but now the Rama has prime real estate. It's like Ki'ilu, he wrote it in the words of the Mechaber. But the Mechaber does say one should be mechavein in the answering of Kaddish. So, you know, the fact that there's a Ramah here, it highlights it, but actually it is correct. One has to have kavana by Kaddish. We're going to see the Mishna Berura says, you know, I don't know, I'm not into these parsha sheets on the tables by davening. Exactly when are people having parsha sheets? When are they using it? Yeah, Rabbi Yeager supports this announcement. Okay. I mean, the only time you could do it, I don't know, when you get there early. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're coming early to read Parsha sheets. You're not even allowed to think in learning during Kaddish. Forget about learning. You're not allowed to think in learning during Kaddish. You need to be mechabein to the Kaddish. And it's not like the Yetzer Hara would be interested in getting you not to have kavanah by Kaddish. It's not like, you know, maybe you could destroy all bad decrees on the Jewish people and have all your sins atoned for. I mean, if someone was a Yetzer Hara and they needed to interrupt something, a Kaddish would be really right up there, you know. So a person has to be on guard during Kaddish, and one has to be focused on it. Okay, so says the Mishna Berura, Yesh l'chavein k'amru Chazal. The Gemara in Shabbos says, Kol ha'oina amen yehei shmei rabba mevarach b'chol koichai karan lo gzar dinai. Anyone who answers amen yehei shmei rabba with all of his strength, they rip up his bad decree. Upershu harishonim. The Rishonim explained the Ritzonim loimer b'chol koichai. What does it mean with all your strength? B'chol kavanasai, with all your intention. Uv'chol evarav, and with all of one's limbs. Dahainu sheyamrenu b'leiv, v'nefesh, you should say with your heart and your soul. V'loi rak k'moitzi b'svasav, not like someone who just emits it with his lips. V'libai bal imai, and his heart is not with him. Now it's interesting, because there are really two perushim in B'chol Koichai. Either the more commonly understood perush is B'chol Kavanasai, with all of your intention. But literally B'chol Koichai means with all your strength. Now between me and you, did you ever see a guy say Amen Yehi Shmei Rabba, Mamish B'chol Koichai? I mean, if you right now would say it B'chol Koichai, they would have you institutionalized. Seriously. You never saw anybody do it B'chol Koichai Mamish. I mean, they would carry the guy out in a straitjacket. You know, maybe there's by some Chasidosim the whole davening is screaming the whole time. Maybe they could pull it off. By any typical shul yeshiva, I don't think you'll see anyone say it b'chol koichai. So the Chida in the Avodas HaKodesh, the Mar Be'etzvah, he has a unbelievable take on this. You ready? The Chida says, Avada you should do it b'chol koichai. You should rev yourself up as if you're going to do it b'chol koichai. But l'maisa, when it comes down to doing it, you do it regular. But it's not that we're oiker, the pshat in the Gemara, legamri, b'chol koichai, it means b'chol kavanasai. It means b'chol koichai also. Rev yourself up. In other words, let's say you're a pitcher on the mound, and you're going to have to throw 100 miles an hour. You got to rev up. You got to rev up to throw it. Lamaisa, you could throw it 30 miles an hour. So the same thing with Kaddish, the Chidah says. You rev yourself up like you're going to unleash a scream that they're going to have to institutionalize you. But you don't have to actually do that, because Lamaisa, you need to come home that night. Yeah, that's how the Chidah says it, but you should still do it b'chol kavanasai. You should certainly be very careful. Ma'oid u'ma'oid. Not just ma'oid ma'oid u'ma'oid. Not to talk. Rabbi Chama found Eliyahu with thousands of camels laden with anger, l'shalim la'elu, to pay those. I don't call you Yaakov. It's like you lose your status of being called a Jew. You could eat herring. You could eat potato kugel. No, you're not called a Jew. If you talk by Kaddish, you're not called a Jew. You might be Jewish, but we're not gonna give you the honor of calling that to you. You're called a son, but you're not called a Jew. Because of the Sefer Hasidim, the Sefer Hasidim writes, Masa b'chassid echad shara l'chassid acher b'moisai upan marikais. One chassid saw another chassid. His face was green. Amar lei, lama panecha marikais. Why is your face green? Amar lei, mimnei shayisim medaber b'shas she'atziach tzibur haya oimer vayichulu. I used to talk when the She'at Tzibur said vayichulu uberkas magen avos uviyiskadal. So question, why was the guy a chassid? What do you mean he was a chassid? He talked by the davening. The answer is, he had cheshbonos of chasidus to talk by the davening. He had all kinds of cheshbonos of mitzvah, and they were all nonsense, because you're not allowed to do it no matter what. Okay. A certain wise man appeared to a student in a dream. He saw the student had a stain on his forehead. The student said, why do you have this stain? I wasn't careful not to converse when the Chazan said Kaddish. If you take out a Sefer during Kaddish, you're an Avarian. You're a sinner. You're a sinner. If you think in learning during Kaddish, it's Asur. Mibnei shetzarach lechavein harbe ba'aniyas HaKaddish. Vein chiluk bein Kaddish al Tanach, oy Agada, oy Mishnayos. That's not the time to learn. Reb Chaim Kanievsky, I believe in Parshas Balak, has this piece that Balak, he stole his righteousness. And Reb Chaim interprets it, there are people who learn, but they don't always learn at the right time. I always have this challenge. I'm invited to a Siyum in the 9 days. Yeah, but I know the guy learned half the Shas during Chazar Hashatz. So now, not it's bad enough, he's telling everyone he learned Shas. He didn't learn Shas. He sinned daily. He sinned daily. And not only that, now he wants to be oiker the din of eating meat in the 9 days through a Siyum that never happened. Okay, what are you going to do? Va'afilu lahara b'divrei Torah, asur b'shash ha'chazan omer Kaddish. But I'll tell you, Yisrael Kedoshim Heim, I was speaking in a shul, and there was a Sephardi man, he must have been in his 70s, and I was talking about how you can't bring a phone into Beis HaKnesses. You can't have a phone in a shul. It's like you're allowing infiltration into the fortress of the Jewish people. So I got a little nervous, maybe people are going to say, who do you think you are? What right do you have to tell us what to do? So this man, he's older than me, he came over, what should he do? He has to test his blood sugar on an app on his phone. So I said, okay, if it's pikuach nefashos, you could do it. You could bring the phone in. He said, I don't know. He says he thinks that for 45 minutes for davening, it's not life-threatening. He said, you know what? I'm not going to bring it in. So you see, unbelievable, Mesiras Nefesh. He's willing to, risk his. Okay. Sif Katan Beis Hakadish Nusach Hakadish Yiskadel v'Yiskadesh. The way to say Kaddish is Yiskadel v'Yiskadesh. So you say, but in my Siddur it says a Patach. Pal, I think you could handle this. Even though it says a Patach, still, I think you'll be capable of saying Yiskadel anyway. I think this is something you could do. Shehusa, now, I do think it's totally on Ashkenaz and Sfard, because I think Nusach Sfard says Yiskadal. But if you don't know what to do, Yiskadel. It's based on the pasuk, V'hiskadilti v'hiskadishti, ha'amor le'inyan mulchemes goy g'magog. Sha'az Yiskadel, Shemai shal Kaddish Baruch Hu d'chsiv, b'ayayim hahu yiyah Hashem echad, u'shmai echad. Now, here it is, we're in the end of days, and we're getting closer to Mulchemes Gog u'Magog, whatever exactly that is. And when we say Kaddish, or when we're mechavin to Kaddish, we should sincerely be davening that Hashem's name should be made great and glorious at the time of Mulchemes Gog u'Magog. V'yomer hadalid deyiskadel v'yiskadesh b'tseirei. The dalid should be with the tseirei. Kihu ivri. It's Hebrew v'loi targum. Ayin v'beis Yosef. So it's so again, the Mishna Berura says that one should emphasize the dalid yiskadel, not yiskadash, yiskadal. Ayin v'beis Yosef. V'loi b'shnei shva'in. Not with two shvas. Ki'ilu hatav ha'gimel b'shva. In other words, it should not be. It should not sound like the gimel and the taf and the gimel is with the shva. Like yisgadal, like yisgadal v'yisgada shemei rabba. Don't do it that way. Yisgadel, not yisgedal or yisgedel. Ela hagimel b'patach yisgadel. V'yadgish hagimel. You should emphasize the gimel of yisgadel. So it should not sound like yiskadel. You don't want it to sound like a neck. Yiskadel lashon oiref, targum oiref, kidal. V'lo yadgish b'yoser habeis the yisbarach. Don't emphasize too much the base of yisbarach. V'yachdoy chetev hahei de v'yis halal. Because it could sound like yis alal. A lot of people say v'yis alal. V'yis halal. Ha, right? Di vira, shtei tevosein. Not divra, di vira. Okay? Di vira. Achar tevas is very important. Kirusei yafsik kitzas. Yiskadel v'yiskadesh shemei rabbah. Bi'alma divra chirusei. After you say the words kirusei, you should pause. The tevas elu koi alamala al yiskadel v'yiskadesh shemei rabbah. Bi'alma divrach chirusei, in the world that He created as He willed. Not bi'alma divrach chirusei v'yamlich malchusei. That's how you'll hear it in most places. Bi'alma divrach chirusei v'yamlich malchusei. And guess what? That's wrong. And it's okay. He might do other things in his life that are correct, but Kaddish won't be one of them. Okay? Bi'alma divrach chirusei, pause. Bi'alma divrach chirusei, pause. Bizman kariv imru amen. Nachon shemer shel tzibur bevas achas v'lo yafsik b'neim. B'yamad yivrach chirusei v'yamlich ma'chusei b'chayichem v'yamachem b'agalav bizman kariv v'imru amen. B'agalav bizman kariv. Don't let him pick a nigun where Bisman Kariv is the end, and then he throws in like a few seconds later Imru Amen. Nachon sheyomer ashel tzibur v'asachas lo yasmin. You should say it at one time. Ki noyagim she'ein hakol oinim Amen ad sheyomer ashel tzibur Amen. Because the bottom line is people are not answering Amen until the Sheikh Tzibur says Amen. So people are not going to say Amen until he says V'imru Amen. Im hashliach tzibur marech harbe benigun shel v'imru Amen. If the Sheikh Tzibur is gurgling from V'imru Amen, he's singing a piece, a chazanish piece from yesteryear. Don't wait for him. He got out the words V'imru Amen. He's in just answer Amen and then let him gurgle. Lo yamtin al b'nei Amen. K'sha'omer ha'oina Amen yeheshmei rabba. When the responder says Amen yeheshmei rabba, so that was not correct. Not it's Amen yeheshmei rabba. It's Amen. Pause. Yeheshmei rabba. Yafsik tzas bein Amen and leheshmei rabba. Uchahagavna bein Amen lemoidim. Not Amen moidim anachnu lach. By the way, before that even, when you say Hamachzer Shechinaseh L'Tzion, don't say moidim anachnu lach. It's Amen. Pause. Moidim anachnu lach. Ben Amen lemoidim kitevas Amen kai aniya ala shel tzibur veheshmei rabba hu marbe b'fnei atzei. It's not Amen yeheshmei rabba. But everybody says Amen yeheshmei rabba. Yeah, but it's wrong. Anyway, they didn't pause by chirusei. But by the way, you don't have to make both mistakes. You could even only making one of those mistakes is better than making both of them. So again, bi'amad yivrach chirusei, pause. And then when you answer, it's not Amen yeheshmei rabba. It's not anyone who answers Amen yeheshmei rabba b'chol koach. It's anyone who answers Amen yeheshmei rabba. Also, it's not yeheshmei rabba. There's no word rabba. Rabba was a man in the Gemara. He was a very great man. But it's Amen yeheshmei rabba. Okay. Yeheshmei rabba. Hu targum. This is what the good rabbi said. He sent me in an email, right? Rabbi Yankel, the Shkoyach. He said, Yehei Shmei Rabba hu mamrif nayatzi, Yehei Shmei Rabba hu targum shel Yehei Shmei Hagadol Mevayrach Li'olam U'Li'omei Olamim. It's the targum of Yehei Shmei Hagadol Mevayrach Li'olam U'Li'omei Olamim. The only thing is, I would ask, it doesn't say anywhere Yehei Shmei Hagadol Mevayrach Li'olam U'Li'omei Olamim. Does it? Is there a pasuk in Tanakh Yehei Shmei Hagadol Mevayrach Li'olam U'Li'omei Olamim? Shmei b'li yud. There's no yud in Shmei. What would the difference be if there was a yud? Not sure. Also, gam b'li mapekei says it has. It's not Yehei Shmei. However, midivrei Pri Megadim Masher Tov Yosel b'mapekei. The Pri Megadim is Masher. It's better to say it with mapekei. Mivarach b'kamat tzachas, not mivoyrach. Yehei Shmei Rabba mivoyrach. No. It's mivarach upatach tzachas harish. Le'olam, not le'olam. Le'olam b'kamat tzachas ayin. Uli olmei with a vav. Ula Yehei Shmei Rabba mivarach le'olam ul olmei. The Sheikh Tzibur says, Amen. He doesn't say Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba. The Sheikh Tzibur says quietly Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivarach La'alam Ulamei Omaya. Rak Yaschel Yehei Shmei B'chulu. Achar Kach Yaschel Yisbarach. Then the Sheikh Tzibur kicks in with Yisbarach V'chulu, B'kal Ram, V'yesh B'y Shmoina L'shana Shel Shavach. And there are 8 languages of praise. Keneged Shiva Rakim, Keneged the 7 heavens, V'harakia Shal Gabi Rashi HaChayos, and the 8th heaven on top of the heads of the Chayos. U'v'tchila Omer Yiskadel V'yiskadesh Shehem Shnei L'shana Shel Shavach. Shehem B'sach HaKol Asara L'shana Shel Shavach. Keneged Asar Sadebros. So it's Yiskadel v'Yiskadesh Shmei Rabba B'Yamal Divrach Chirusei B'Yamlich Mal Chusei B'Chayei Chayin U'V'Yamchem Yisbarach v'Yishtabach v'Yispa'ar v'Yisraimam v'Yisnasei v'Yishadar ale v'yis halal. So that's another 8. Okay, here's another thing. Min kol berchasa le'ela min kol berchasa shalosh tevos uv'yamim shekayvim ha'kadishim le'ela u'le'ela ein loymar rak mi kol berchasa kedei shelo yehi b'sach hakol rak esrim u'shmona tevos. You want 28 words in Kaddish. Another thing is, it's not it's le'ela. It's a mil'el. Le'ela mikol berchasa. Okay, Rabbi Isai, I'll let you get that down. And have a good day, everyone. Bracha v'atzlacha.
Quietly. He says say quietly. Why is it? He's not being mighty like someone who can't answer right then? I thought by Kedusha, if someone's in the middle of Shemana Esrei, so the Chazan says that has to say all lines of Kedusha loudly so that everyone could be mighty.
Right, he's also losing out on the Kala Oine B'Kol Koichai. Why does he lose that Maila as well? When he asking good.
I really always thought the halacha was like, I thought you're supposed to say it out loud, and that's just specifically say it quietly.
Okay, so I'm not sure. I have the following chakira. Either you could say belachash is lav dafka. Lachash doesn't mean quietly here. Lachash means he's not saying it out loud for the tzibor, but together with the tzibor. Meaning the rest of Kaddish, he says for them. But this he doesn't have to say for them because they're saying it. So you're asking, what about somebody who can't say it themselves? It sounds like they could hear it from the tzibor. Or perhaps there's no real chiyuv for the chazan to even answer it b'chlal, because he says v'imru amen. You say amen. I'm telling you what to do. I'm talking to you. I'm telling you to say amen.
Amen's on the previous piece. Yehi Shmei Rabbah is a separate thought.
If it's not true, the person Damik Shemnesh has to listen. He has to listen. Shemei Kain, is not Shemei Kain on Yehi Shmei Rabbah? There is, no?
But who's Yehi Shmei Rabbah? Who's?
Somebody who's having a mind to invoke to you. Probably the Chazan, no?
I hear. Very good question. Good question.
Good question, Mandy. I get gold star for that one. Extra credit for the mitzvah.
Good question.
Use it.
Good question. Okay, let's work on it.
Hel v'shem Reisman, like you just said just now. Le'elo is the only word in Kaddish that the emphasis is beginning of the word. Like you said, right?
Yeah, le'ela, milel, can. Hatzlacha, kol tov.